Hello, welcome to the second annual Chasta Taylor Teen Talk Clubhouse. My name is Latricia Taylor. I'm the founder and CEO of the Chasta Taylor Foundation. Today we're going to go ahead and get started, and my panelists are going to introduce themselves.
Hello everybody, my name is Jay Hussey. I am one half of the Homie Studios podcast, and the other half I have right next to me.
Hi everybody, my name is Sheldon Thomas, the other half of Homie Studios podcast.
Hi everyone, my name is Loretta Glimp, and I am the owner and CEO of On the Move Swap Shop Boutique.
Hello everyone, my name is Celeste Cobb. I'm a 5th grade teacher, assistant care director, and paparazzi independent consultant.
All right, let's get started. Here are some of the questions that teen wanted to know. First, we'll start. What is a budget?
Okay, I would say a budget is a financial plan that you use to measure how you're going to spend your money and how are you going to, well, I know we're going to say that, but how we're going to save your money as well. So the financial plan is going to show you, or the budget is going to show you what you're spending your money on, and then also how you should be saving your money. I know I kind of took it.
Yeah, I mean, that's fine. But yes, what he was stating was very important is not only is it how you spend your money, how you allocate your money out, but how you keep your money in. It's important to build a structured budget that allows you to not only know where your money is going, but how much money after you spend all of your money on bills, things of that nature, how much can you allocate to a savings to help prepare you for your future?
And also, I think with a budget, you have to also realize your needs and your wants. Do I actually need this, or actually do I want this? It's also part of the budget is saving and also income in and outgoing of the money that you have.
Definitely making your money count as a teen. If you get a job at an early age, start saving early. Even if it's $1 here, $1 there, you save up until you graduate. That can help cut funds with graduation expenses and things like that. So just starting early, not thinking you're too young to start saving.
Right.
So budgeting is all of that.
And then to add on to what you're saying, also just realize that when you budget, you're gonna have stumbles, you're gonna fall, you're gonna fail sometimes, but you're gonna learn from it, and you keep moving forward. You don't stop. So it can take you a couple of months, it can take you a couple of years to finally get your budget under control to where you are, I call it financial responsibility or discipline. Financial discipline is very hard when you want something, and then like she said, what you want versus what you need. So when you create this budget, it may take you some time to get it under control and to stay consistent with it. But if you stick with it, it's going to get better. And it's going to help you out a lot.
And as well as pay yourself first.
Yes.
Yes.
Another thing as well. And then from there, you can move on to other things that you would like to have and also want.
All right, one of the ringing themes that you guys have said was saving. So why is it important to save?
I think it's important to save because you just never know what can happen. I can give you an example. I moved to Orlando almost 3 years ago now, and when I moved there, I came back to Jacksonville to pick up some additional items that I needed before I moved back, and I left midday, went to go grab some food, went to go crank my car up. Car won't start at all. And had my car taken to Volkswagen. It was a Volkswagen at the time. A couple of days later, they called me back and say, "Are you ready?" And I'm like, "I don't know what is that even supposed to mean?" So she says, "It's going to be $6,875." So I told her, "Did you want to keep the car? 'Cause I don't need it anymore if it's that." But so that was November of 2019. I didn't get a new car until February of 2020 because I didn't have money saved up on the side for a potential down payment for a car, anything of that nature. And that's why it's so important to save, because you never know what something is going to happen. You want to be able to feel like you got a little bit of security if in case anything does arise. So.
Yeah, like my mom would always say, save for rainy days. And that was considered basically a rainy day. Right? If you would have had the money in the savings, it would have been an issue or problem going to get something that actually you needed for that moment, which is a necessity.
Yes.
Definitely for emergencies. I mean, you might not always have that family member that you can call on or for yourself, save so you can be able to reach back and get your own self out of financial trouble.
Well, definitely. I mean, kind of like the same thing. I was thinking about the same thing as far as randomness. There's going to be random things that happen. Like you can try to plan everything, all that you want. You can try to plan as much as you want, and then all of a sudden something's just going to come from right field. And like if you have a good savings plan, it may not even be your situation. What if you have a friend or a family member that's going through something? You having that savings, you are able to bless them, and then you guys can work it out when you guys work it out. But you're able to help, and they might be in a dire situation. Like what if you have your niece or your nephew or your godson or somebody that's affected by this decision? So not only can you saving your money help you, but it can also help somebody else that you love.
That is excellent. This topic, we're all done with that, but is there anything else you guys want to add to close out this before we move on to the next topic?
Real estate.
Yes.
Real estate. Whenever you get older, I just want to say, what I've learned is this whole experience of becoming an adult is learning how to take care of yourself. One of the first things that you can do to learn how to take care of yourself is not pay somebody else's rent or get an apartment. It's okay to get an apartment, but eventually, once you get to a certain age, you feel like you're mature enough, learn about real estate, get into real estate, buy a house. Buy a house.
Invest.
Invest.
Or even if you buy land and you
Yes.
say,
Yeah.
later I'm gonna build a house on it.
Yeah, and
That's-
sometimes that's even smarter to just buy the land. One, because the land's going to appreciate in value, and when you have an appreciating asset, it gives you a little bit of leeway, and you're always going to always have an asset.
Right.
Buying land, buying property early, and allowing yourself. I'm not going to get too deep into it, but at the same time, for those that are listening and watching, you buy a property. Over time, the property will go up in value. You will always have. What's the word I'm looking for? Not even equity.
Equity.
There's the word I'm looking for.
The equity in the house, yes.
You have equity. You have a lot of leverage. So.
I did definitely to piggyback off of that, the equity in the house. That's I just want to throw a quick story out there. You have a lot of young people within my generation that within 2 years ago, they bought a new construction house, they sold that house, and then within a year, you're talking about they're seeing the most money that they've ever seen in their life. You're talking about over $100,000. That's life changing, that's life altering. Then taking that money then go ahead and invest, So we're talking about saving, but the next step after saving is investing your savings. So that's why we're talking about this. So definitely save your money, but then once you master that saving, then start learning on how to invest. And I think that would definitely have a major impact on your life.
All right, that is awesome. So we're gonna move on to the next topic, healthy relationships. So let's start off with, can you describe what do you think a healthy dating relationship looks like for teens?
I think for teens, a healthy relationship looks like being with someone who has your best interests at heart. Meaning they're not going to hold you back from going to school, they're not going to hold you back from achieving your goals, and they're willing to help. So those are some major pointers with healthy relationships.
Yeah, to piggyback off of that, I totally do agree. And also when you have that other half of that mate that you can also depend on for when the sorrow times come, the good times, the bad times, someone that's always there for you when you need them the most.
I think, honestly, communication, it can be teenage relationship all the way up until your dying days. Communication is really the key. If you can't talk to this person comfortably without judgment, maybe this isn't the person for you. You want to be able to have an open communication and know where you stand at all times.
I would say what a healthy relationship looks like for a teen for me, I would definitely say somebody that understands what you guys are going through at the time, somebody that can have a level of understanding, and they're not trying to push you one way or the other. They're comfortable with you being you, and you guys are moving forward together. There's one thing that I've learned, and I just learned it as an adult. what is the true definition of love? What is love? Because the kids say, oh, I'm in love, I like this person, I do that. But what is it? What is love? And I did get this information from my pastor at Celebration Church. And love is the response to understanding the value of someone or something. So if you have somebody that's telling you that they love you, but then at the same time they're disrespecting you, or you say that you want to do something, but then everything always has to be their way, usually people are associated with you just because you have a certain value that brings to them. They don't care about you. They care about what you can do for them. If you find somebody that is only taken from you and they're not given to your life, that's not a healthy relationship, especially when you're a teen, because you're very, 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 you're a sponge at that time.
Yes.
You know, and the relationship that you're creating at that time is gonna correlate to when you become an adult. So you have to be very careful with that. So make sure you know what love is. Make sure you know your partner, your spouse, or not your spouse, but make sure you try to know a little bit more about this person. I know you're young and you know, but ask the questions. Who's their parents? Where did they grow up? Who do they hang around? What do they want to do? Because a lot of that correlates to how they're going to treat you.
Preaches.
Yeah, I was gonna say, you kicked over the sermon up there.
Covering everything, yeah.
But speaking of that, so I want to kind of piggyback on that with this next question, since we're talking about teens. This is a controversial discussion. What age should teens really engage into relationships?
Look,
That's a tough one.
everyone is different, right? Everybody's maturity level is different. So it's tough to just instantly give you a specific age. But your parents should be doing a little bit of this gauging as well as to knowing how mature their child is.
That's that point.
Right, the parent.
So
Maturity.
if it was me and I had a child who was 14, 15 years old, and I see that they're respectful, they're considerate, then yeah, if you want to date somebody, I want to see how you're going to mature with an actual relationship. So really, it just depends on the maturity level of your child, but also you just got to. I think for this part, the parents should really be observing how their kids' actions are.
Right. I think the parents have to be engaged with their children to a certain age. If they're going to let them date at 14 or 15, the parent has to be involved. I mean, as far as saying going on dates, I think the parents should go with them. I don't think when you're 14 or 15, and this is my opinion, that they go along by themselves. I mean, you can be comfortable on your days with your mom and your dad there as long as they're in the background or distance or whatever. But I don't think that at that age that they should be by themselves on the face of it.
I mean, we know there's little crushes and things like that, but typically, I would say 16, 17, but still under crucial supervision, like, so.
I mean, from the outside looking in, just generic question. I mean, I'm gonna say 15, 16, but I have a 2-year-old daughter, 2.5-year-old daughter, and for her, 35. I'm just saying. But I mean, 15, 16, like legit. I'm still gonna give her a hard time the whole time, but I know around 15, 16, I'm gonna have to let off of that. Even at 14, I think that's too young. It's okay to have guy friends around, and then we have a co-ed party or something. I'm cool with that. But like y'all just going to the park by yourselves or in your room by yourself or stuff, like none of that's happening until that maturity level happens. And like, and you don't know. Every child is different, so everybody ages different. Everybody matures differently. So I definitely agree with that. It depends on the maturity level of your child, but I think 15, 16 is a good age to start opening up.
See, I really want to piggyback on what she said because I look at it this way. You probably should go parental supervision on some of these dates. Because if you look, I was a young man. I know how young men think and act.
I was always a gentleman.
Yeah, he's gonna lie to you. I'm gonna give it real. So, and I think it would have been better in some situations that that there was some parental supervision there, because what if the girl feels uncomfortable? And the boy doesn't know how to gauge that she's uncomfortable.
Right.
Because look, he's trying to learn as he's going along as well.
Right.
That's where, if you got a parent that, because if you parental supervision, they got a Hawkeye the whole time. Like, binoculars, everything. I'm doing everything I can. If I even got a glimpse, a snapshot of, she's uncomfortable, maybe that's the time where you step in.
Right.
And then either you end up dating there, coach up your side. I don't know how you do this, but it's better than just putting them out there by themselves, because you never know what type of scenario that can turn into.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I agree with that.
Okay. So this is one that probably a little bit of a sensitive, but I think it should be discussed because teens experience it. What will be each person tell me some? I guess the way to say it, some. What's the word to use? Can't think of the word. Patricia?
Give me a synonym.
Bad habits,
Habits or
characteristics.
in a relationship, if they're in there, that shows that they're in an abusive relationship. So that they understand that they're actually in an abusive relationship, and then maybe some things where they should alert their parents that something's not right in that relationship.
I would say really quick to get angry. That's one key factor. And just to share a personal story, I had a friend, we were in middle school, and a guy she was dating would follow her after school. We would walk home together, but she would always tell me, Celeste, he's coming. And I was young, I was sixth grade, 7th grade, so I would laugh and I didn't think anything of it because I had never personally experienced abuse or anything.
Right.
But he would grab her, he started grabbing her arm, getting mad very quickly, and right now this guy's in prison, not because of what he did to her or anything. He didn't beat her, but he was mean and angry. But he had a lot of built up anger. So that's definitely, if you're dating someone, if you're a teen and someone pops off every time something happens, that could be an indicator that
This, you can put this, don't put that doesn't look right. Why do you have on red lipstick? The red lipstick doesn't look good on you. If any little thing like that, and they're telling you to change yourself, to be someone else, is the indication of you're being possessive and you probably want to get out of that type of relationship.
Yes. I don't know specifically if I can point out a characteristic, but I can point out something that you can pay attention to. Be aware of just, I'm trying to think of the best way to put this. I might have to go before I can get my point across because I have to reword this. Go ahead.
I think, because like we were saying, we just had a podcast about Ladies Night, on what we called it Ladies Night, and one of the major things that I saw in relationships that cause things to go bad is the one partner or both partners pass their own insecurities onto the other person. So they're really, like, all the anger being the trigger, the person probably didn't even do anything, but that person is, the one partner is dealing with things that they've never dealt with in the past, mental health, they've never dealt with it. So they have triggers. So it creates a trigger. If you don't deal with something and you don't get closure in it, it's going to build a trigger. Or if you have a traumatizing event that happens, or if you have something that's within yourself that you haven't dealt with, that insecurity is going to go onto your partner, because sometimes if you don't have your priorities straight, you look for everything, that void that's within you, you look for that within your partner. That's not what your partner's there for. Your partner's there to help you. Your partner's not there to be your everything. We put everything onto that partner. So even with me personally, I've dealt with an abusive relationship as far as verbal abuse and things of that nature. So what I found was the insecurities within the other person will be passed on to me. Even though I didn't really say anything or do anything that would be too much, one little thing would just cause them to just go straight off. And it really had nothing to do with me. It was the insecurities within that person. So just be careful if you see somebody is insecure within themselves, and you'll know that by tell them a story. Tell them something positive that happened to you that day and see their response. If they say, oh, that's great, blah, 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 that's when you know that person is rocking with you. if they go, oh, well, guess what happened to me today? Like, and they try to one up your story, or they try to be negative, that's when you know somebody's probably a little bit insecure.
Or even cut you off and not let you finish your sentence or what you're saying, just
Exactly.
to make themselves feel good
Exactly.
about what you
Bring
did
it back
for
to them.
Exactly.
Always bring it back to them.
Exactly.
And I think what I was trying to say is don't ignore the negative signs because it's easy when you're younger to buy. So I would say don't ignore the signs, the negative signs that you may see. I know when we're young, we want to think that everything is about love. I'm in love. Everything is. Don't ignore the negative signs that you see. I don't know how to point out a specific characteristic to look for. Just don't ignore the ones that you know don't make you feel right. You know, the ones that make you feel a little disrespected. If that's too frequent, do not ignore that sign because that's probably more of a trend than a one-off. So.
If it's within the first year of you talking to this person, and they push you to your point, and they push your button to where like you gotta like pray and call on Jesus type stuff.
Yeah.
Like that's a red flag. Like I'm talking about within the first year because I mean you're gonna have spats and everything like that. But if somebody is pushing your buttons consistently, like you're seeing a trend, that is gonna come up more and more and more as the years go by. So definitely look at the red flag. Don't take them for granted. Like pay attention to it because it's gonna come back out.
And also a red flag is when you start second guessing yourself as well.
Yep.
Once that person says something,
Doubt.
second guessing, you're doubting yourself. And that's just saying, well, maybe I don't feel good today, or maybe I don't look good as he said that I am. And, you know, and you're trying to change yourself to make someone else happy. It's like we said before.
That I would say that happened to me. I would say that happened to me personally. That doubt started, and then it started to affect little pieces of my life.
Yes,
Every
absolutely.
facet of my life. And you can't have that. You can't allow that to happen.
And don't just think that abuse is physical abuse. Like they're saying, abuse can be mentally, and mainly, I mean, that's big, but a lot of people don't realize it's mental abuse because they are so used to abuse being known as physical abuse. But if you have someone that's constantly downing you or being like they said negative and things like that, that will take a major toll on your mental health. And mental health is big. I mean, that's a whole nother broad topic within itself.
Yes, that's a whole nother topic.
But it definitely falls under the category of abuse.
Yes.
Okay, well, another part of that sensitive topic too that takes there with a lot more than we realize is also dealing with rape. We hear about parties and stuff they go to, and I know that's more older, but now they're having teen parties and feeling uncomfortable. So what would be your advice or anything you want to share regarding a teen that has dealt with it but not have come out, or signs or a friend that knows information about what it is, or a person that's with it don't know what's going on?
Well,
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I'm sorry.
No, please go.
That's peer pressure is a lot. If you're going to a party and someone is forcing you, begging you, adjusting to saying, okay, well, drink this, drink that, because maybe they have a plan. Maybe their instance at the end of the day is to get you in that room and to do something to you that you're not wanting to have done to you. So be very, very careful, I would say, of peer pressure.
Exactly. Don't get pulled in because your friends say, "Oh, girl, let's go over here." So, you know, and if you're a teen, you definitely shouldn't be going with anyone that's older than a teen and things like that. So definitely be careful who you surround yourself with because you can end up in a situation where you are being peer pressured or you feel like because your friend is doing something, you have to do it to fit in. It's okay to say, "No, I'm not doing this. I'm ready to go home," or however, whatever you need to say to get away. Don't feel like you have to.
This one kind of hits home for me a little bit. So I would say it kind of felt like you had asked kind of like a 2-3-part question. So first thing is, if you have a team going to a team party, I would say create some rules within your friends, especially if you're a girl. If you're a girl, never be by yourself. Always have a partner with you. And if you're a dude, I would say at least try to have a buddy with you or whatever. But if you're going by yourself, make sure you at least know one other person there. Don't go to a party that you don't know anybody there. First of all. Second thing, I would say another rule while you're at the party is if you're a female, never accept a drink from anybody.
Right.
If you didn't pour it yourself, don't accept it. And the reason why we're telling you that is for cases, I'm not trying to bring it up, but like stories of Bill Cosby or different things, people put things in your drink to take advantage of you. And I know it sounds sick and sadistic, but this is the world that your parents are trying to protect you from.
Yes.
So, first rule, if you're a girl especially, go there with a friend. Second rule, don't ever accept a drink from nobody if you didn't pour it yourself. I don't care who it is. Don't accept a drink from anybody. And then going into, if you are a victim of rape or if you are a friend of a victim of rape, you have to realize that your life has been changed and you need, it's automatically creating a mental issue within you. So if you don't deal with it, you're going to create an insecurity within yourself to where in your relationship, that's going to come out, and it's going to come out against your partner. That's the stuff that I was talking about, that if you do not deal with it correctly, it's going to come out and it's going to manifest itself. And you're not going to articulate yourself correctly in your relationship. So definitely get a therapist. Go talk to somebody. It doesn't have to be a therapist, but talk to a spiritual leader. Maybe talk to a family member that you trust. Same thing with the friend. If you know that a friend has been abused or raped or something like that, their parents need to know at least.
Yes.
The parents need to know. If you don't want to take it to the cops, then so be it. But their parents need to know, and you and them probably need counseling, because you probably need counseling to deal with that as well.
Kind of what you can piggyback on the rules that you were stating about. A rule that my mom told me long ago. If you go to one of these parties, don't sit your drink down. Period. Don't sit your drink down. Period. If you're going to have a drink, hold your drink from the top, and keep your hand over the top of the drink, so nothing can go slip in without any type of knowledge, without your knowledge. If you've been affected by this, I know it's tough. I can only imagine how tough it is to actually deal with being sexually abused. And I know you don't. I know it's embarrassing. I know all of those things. Those are all factors. But the only way for you to truly get through it is you have to bring it to someone and speak on it and help, because you're not going to know what to do. And maybe not your family members doesn't know what to do, but maybe they know somebody who can get you the assistance that you need in order to be able to move along as normally as possible after that.
In order to have a healthy relationship.
Exactly. Yes.
Yeah, definitely. I would just say it's just like, just piggyback what you're saying, bro. It's just so important and so critical to find out how to cope. That's the key word that we want to teach you, that we want you to learn. Learn how to cope with situations.
And also, I think it's important that we talk to the young men here.
Yeah. If
Young
she tells
men,
you no,
she tells you no.
if she tells you no,
That
bro,
means
stop.
no. That, like, I understand you're young, you getting these moves, you're trying to adjust, you're trying to figure out what your body is doing. All of that is going on.
She gave you that eye, she gave you that look.
But when she says no, that means no. That means stop. That means red.
Do not go past go.
Yeah, do not collect $200.
$200.
You are not collecting $200 today. Listen, do not put yourself in a scenario, one, that's outright disgusting and disrespectful. Two, once she finally gets the courage to say what happens, now they're coming for you. And now you've ruined your life from that point forward because you couldn't just accept the answer no. Think on that.
Well, I just want to put a little disclaimer because we did talk about drinking, and as this is a team,
Yes.
we're saying hypothetical because we know teens should not be drinking.
Oh, absolutely. No.
Absolutely.
Right.
But
Right. Don't
these are
drink.
real scenarios that
Yes.
this stuff happens despite what we want.
Of
Correct.
course.
Before we move on, I just want to touch on a little bit and go back. Jay, you mentioned that you actually experienced being in a domestic violence type situation, verbal maybe. And I really want to go back there because people don't realize males do encounter that. They don't always speak up. So for you as a male that have gone through that, what would you say for a male teen to, of course, they got all the macho, so they don't want to acknowledge what they're going through and they stick through it because they don't want to be that victim, to encourage them to not be in that kind of situation?
So the first thing you have to realize is it's very important for you to know who you are. if you know, because if you don't know who you are, like she said, those moments of doubt are going to come. And if you start doubting yourself, it's going to manifest itself in other ways, and it's going to start leaking into all facets of your life. But one thing major I would say is you have to be willing to sacrifice the affection, the pleasure, whatever it is that you're trying to do, and you have to realize it's about, you have to take care of yourself. You know, you're giving up, you're doing this, you're doing that, but you have to learn to take care of self. And then the other major thing is you have to realize that it may be something within this other person, the insecurities that we was talking about, that's causing them to come to you this way. You have to make sure that you don't become them, because that's one thing that started to happen to me. Instead of me being me, I started to act like her, to get back at her, to show her how she was treating me. That I started to change. And then that's when things got really bad. That's when it gets really bad. When you start acting out of your character, and it's like, well, you're treating me this way, so I'm about to give you some of your own medicine. It doesn't work. It gets bad. It gets worse and worse and worse and worse. So what it is, I would say, if you are in a relationship and your partner isn't showing that they're willing to adjust and grow and mature and change, they want to just keep making the same mistake over and over again, you have to detach yourself. And if that means no phone calls, no nothing, if you just have to cut them off cold turkey, you're gonna have to do it, because it could be a life-changing thing.
But let me say this as well. It also, keep in mind, abuse don't happen overnight.
Yep.
It starts small, and it grows into bigger things if you don't take care of it at that moment.
Yep.
You know, today may just be a disagreement.
Yep.
Tomorrow, now we're arguing.
Yep.
The next day, you may have touched me.
Yep.
The next day, you've taken something from me, you've done something for me, and it escalates and gets bigger and bigger. So always remember, it starts small.
And I want to, like something that you said, they start joking or they start verbalizing the physical abuse. Oh, if you do that again, I'm gonna slap you. Or, but no, don't even play like that.
Right.
Don't even. I was joking. No, jokes
Don't-
come from a real place.
Don't ignore the signs.
That's the sign.
Don't
Those
ignore
are
it.
those signs.
Yeah.
Those are
They'll
those signs
show
I'm
you.
talking about.
Yeah.
People will paint their own picture. They'll
Yeah.
show you who they are. You just sit back and let them show you.
Yeah, everybody's a Picasso. It's just some people's pictures are ugly. That's just how it is, you know?
Big fat, bro.
And when you see a person when they're always arguing and don't agree with you at times, and when they come back the next day and sorry is always that magic word.
Exactly.
Or I do apologize, can you forgive me today? And then the next day it's doing the same thing back over again.
Exactly.
And that's abusive. So you have to take care of self.
Yep.
Okay, that is good information. So we're gonna move on to a little bit better topic.
You gonna lighten it up a little bit?
This is actually the last topic, but I think this is the fun topic, entrepreneurship. And with everyone on here is in that field, experiencing and working as an entrepreneur, so I definitely think this is gonna be a great discussion. So I actually want to start with Celeste, only because she is a school teacher and doing a business. And I'm just curious, one, what is your experience with trying to juggle that? And two, can you give me some key points of entrepreneurship?
Well, my experience with trying to juggle it is difficult, especially now since I've taken on the extended care director. So my teaching day goes longer, but I can say consistency. So in my business, I have to go live, and I sell jewelry. And sometimes I might get on the live, and it might be one person on there. It might be Miss Violet on there. She'll talk to me, and I get, I know it's only one person, but I'm talking to Miss Violet. But stay consistent. Don't give up on something that you want to do. We live in a time where entrepreneurship is big, and if people show up for yourself, if you show up for yourself, people will say, okay, she enjoys this. And there's times where I have 10 people on there, or I just have one, but I still have to keep that positivity, and I'm going to show up regardless. So definitely stay consistent.
We can go out
for me is to write the plan down. Whatever you want to do, write it down. And do that in order. Even sometimes you may get out of order and making a plan, but go back. Work on your business plan on a daily basis. Even if it's just to get up in the morning and just to write down a plan. Or the next day say, well, I'm going to execute the plan, or I'm going to make sure that I do something towards that plan in order for it to come to life. And another thing that I do believe in is consistency as well. Just like you said, if you continue to do the things that you need to do for your business to get it up off the ground, you may just have that one person. You may sometimes be in the business by yourself. It's okay, it can still be done. You know, with me personally, I've ran my business by myself for years. It's a lot of work, but if you want success, sometimes you got to push and keep going, even if you're tired, working a double shift, working extra jobs. If it's something that you have the desire to do, I tell you go for it. It's all in your hands. And another thing, let no one doubt you and make you change your mind on your plan that you've created.
I agree with the plan. I also agree with the consistency. On top of consistency is you also have to be able to adapt. I think adaptability is probably one of your strongest abilities in entrepreneurship. And when you can plan things A, B, C, D, E, F, G, and then it comes out to be A, G, E, B, you know? And if you're able to adapt and still be able to stay on track with your plan at the same time, you just have to do things in different orders. That helps with your consistency. Because like, you take for an example, we did a podcast a couple of weeks ago. 3 hours of content. It did not, once we came back and reviewed all of the footage, half of the audio was bad. Like it was choppy, we couldn't salvage it. So you have to adjust. So we had an hour and a half's worth of content that we were able to still provide. You just have to be able to adjust, put a different spin on it, and then distribute it the same way. But so one, you still remain consistent, but you just had to do it differently than you anticipated. You just have to stay consistent, but be able to adjust on the fly.
Consistency, plan, adapting, and I'm gonna say what I said last year, networking. Your network equals your net worth.
Yes.
So don't burn bridges. Always maintain your professionalism, because somebody might tell you something or they act a certain way today, but then a year or two, maybe a couple of months, maybe a year from now, that same person now needs your help. But if you had chewed them back out, that's never going to happen. So I can't tell you how many different forms of business that I received from people in the past that, they didn't want my services or they didn't want something, but the fact that I maintain my professionalism, okay, by all means, you know, if you ever need anything, let me know. You know, even though I gave them my time, you know, I spent a lot of time with them, and then they just wind up going with somebody else. Okay, that's fine. If you ever need me, let me know. Come to find out, they come back to me. Because what I told them facts, I told them truth, and then they went and find out about it. So networking and don't burn bridges. You never know who you're gonna meet. You never know who you're gonna need in the future.
And like you said, stay professional.
Yes.
Regardless of what the situation may be, just like you did, and that was a very good example. Always stay professional in what you do, because at the end of the day, you don't know who you're gonna need, who may need you, who may just have a referral for you for someone else.
And also one thing I want to add is don't get discouraged because you see a lot of people doing the same thing that you want to do. Find out what can attract people to your business that you want, whether it's lemonade or I don't know. No matter what it is, just don't get discouraged because people will show up because it's you. If you find the characteristics and the things that draw people in, stick to that and learn how to practice and master that training of yourself for your business.
Because success doesn't come overnight. You have to work at it.
I would say use like exactly what she's saying. Use your uniqueness to find your niche within whatever it is, because there's nobody else out there like you. So use what gifts were given to you and find your niche within whatever it is you're doing, and it's going to separate you from everybody else.
I'll add one last thing. Don't be afraid to fail, because it's going. You have to learn from some of your failures.
Sometimes
Don't be-
failing is better.
So, hey, you've learned a valuable lesson from that failure. So don't be afraid to fail. It's okay. I understand it isn't comfortable in that moment, but once you replan and get back on that, get back on that pavement, you'll be fine. It's just don't be afraid to fail. Learn from all of your mistakes.
I just want to say it one more time. You said success what?
Success doesn't come overnight.
That's right.
Say that one more time.
Success does not come overnight. You have to work at everything that you do. He didn't make it overnight.
Right.
Mary J. Blige didn't make it overnight.
Nope.
But look at this, says they kept at going, they kept at it. Whatever they desired, they fought for what they desire. So that's where they're at today, where they're at.
I want you to say that again because social media has shown young people believing that it does happen overnight, so right away. But it actually is.
We'll help the young people. Hashtag success doesn't come overnight. I got y'all. Don't worry, I got y'all. Yeah.
Okay, so next question. What are the benefits of entrepreneurship for you? So what are the benefits of them starting a business young if they have the desire to do that?
So what is the benefit?
I would say it gives you a sense of belonging and a purpose, and from a personal aspect, as a paparazzi independent consultant, I enjoy going live and selling jewelry. Even when I've been and I create a little pop-up shop. If you're a teen, it will give you something to work on as a hobby or something to do. If you're going through something as a teen, it can probably be something as an outlet for you to take your mind off of things that are going on. So it definitely the purpose part of it.
And I think as a teen starting a business is basically as you get older, things will be a little different. You stumble a lot at the younger age. So as you get older, it's a little much easier for you to understand the ups and downs and how to maneuver throughout the process of where to begin and where to end the process that you began.
Yeah. I would say the benefit is a sense of accomplishment, even if it's not some super grandiose thing that you were trying to achieve. It's the ability to say, I put my effort into this, and I got the rewards that I was shooting for. No matter if, like for us, for instance, we do a podcast. If we get 5 people listening, or if we get 500 people listening, if one person listens to our podcast and takes something from it, then we did our job. So no matter what, don't always gauge it off of just ultimate success, but also just gauge it in the fact that you put your effort into it, and this is your baby, and then you can nourish it how you see fit.
I think a major benefit for the question was a benefit for teens to become entrepreneurs, right? I think it helps them in maturity in their perspective on life. It helps them mature because you will understand why your parents do some of the things that they do because they're the bosses in that house. And then also, if you've ever had a job before, you'll understand why your managers or why the managers, why they act the way that they do because they have to do a lot of things behind the scenes that you don't see. So now, once you become your own boss, you're in control of that. If you don't wake up early and do X, Y, and Z, you're not going to make the money, which means all this time and all this effort that you've done is wasted. You know, so it gives you a maturity. To me, it will give you a mature point of view. It will help your perception and help you gain a certain level of understanding that other people your age will not have.
And I also think it teaches responsibility.
Yes.
When a child
Accountability.
grows, responsibility and accountability, absolutely. When a child starts small and they see the difference of things getting bigger, and also go back to the income, teaches them how to basically save money, count money, how to put money into businesses that they want to do, how to have your 401k over here, how to have the other money over here, how to do stocks. And it teaches them a lot of things like that and benefits them having their own business. It's not just their business, it teaches them other things along the way.
And also, it is another road to, or another option other than college. I'm not saying anything's wrong with college, but everyone is not meant for college. College is good, but if, let's say, you're young, you already know your family is not going to be able to afford to send you to college, don't feel like you have to go in debt to go to college. Entrepreneurship is a big option for you to take to where you don't have to go into debt and you can make money if you just stay consistent with whatever it is that you're wanting to do. By the time if you start young as a teen, by the time you get to college age, you'll probably be bigger than you would even think of.
Exactly.
So,
Especially if you go into business about something that you're passionate about.
Right.
Actually passionate about, it's not going to feel like work.
That's exactly what I was going to say. Make sure it's something that you enjoy and that you love. Kind of like you just said, when you're doing something that you love, it doesn't feel like work. And that's also a good sign.
I like about the podcast.
Yeah.
When we're on the pod and talking, like we do this anyway, bro.
Like we talked about doing this podcast for at least 4 years prior to doing it. And honestly, because we sat around for hours at a time, going back and forth.
And then
All day.
And then people be like, y'all need your own show. Like, why don't y'all have your own?
A lot of people,
We talking about it, man. We talking about it.
yeah.
or even if you just take a course to specifically
Yeah.
focus on a trade that will help you grow
Yes.
in your entrepreneurship.
Yes.
Instead of going, if you, like I said, nothing against college, but if you go to college, you take all these extra courses, you're paying all this money for something versus you focus on, let's say, you want to do lemonade, or you take courses on nutrition. So just an example. You
Yes,
get what I mean?
yeah.
So definitely, there's a lot of benefits to it. So.
Well, we have come to the end of our session. However, before we close out, I do want each of you guys to say something that you want to share that maybe it goes back to a topic that we already talked about, or just anything you want to share with the teams.
I want to circle back, and I want to just reiterate it. I'm not going to say anything new, but I just want to reiterate what we talked about love, because everybody is in search of love. That's what if you look at every little thing, why is this country beefing with this country and everything? Because they're disrespecting or they're not showing things of love. When you step into a room, or nowadays, especially for the young kids, as soon as somebody say they don't like your hair or whatever, you call them a hater. As soon as they don't give you a positive compliment, they're a hater. You want love. You see what I'm saying? So you have to understand what love is. And again, love is the response to understanding the value of someone or something. I don't know if you're biblical or not, but where your treasure is, your heart will be also. Your treasure is where your heart is. Your heart is what you love. So that's why people fall in love with certain things. So be careful what you're putting into your body. Be careful of the people you have around you. Make sure that you're in a relationship or you're in a group of friends where you can be you and they accept you for you. You don't have to be somebody else. Or they're not with you for circumstance. You got money, or you got cars, or you got clothes. No, they love you for you. So I want to circle back to love and just make sure, as a kid right now or a teenager right now, you understand what love is, and that you continue to move forward and use this knowledge that you have so you can make wiser choices. If you make wiser choices, it shows that you understand. If you understand, then you can bypass some of the things that I've gone through and other people have gone through. We're telling you this so that you don't make the same mistakes. And all we need is one person to listen. Everybody don't have to listen. All we need is one. So I would circle back to love. Self-love.
Mine's pretty simple. It goes back more to entrepreneurship. Find your passion and be very passionate about it. Simple as that. If you love it hard. And go forward as hard as you can.
And I'm right behind you in that. Mine is to stay focused. Whatever you decide that you want to do, stay focused. Let no one deter you from your game plan.
Same, everything they just said, really piggybacking off of everything. Stay focused, love, you have to love, put others first, and still put yourself in there too. Don't forget about yourself. Yeah, you just have to find the balance. I like how you did that, because you do have to find that. Don't get distracted. I know that, if you're a teen and you're watching this, there are so many distractions. Even as an adult, there's a lot of distractions, but and then I'm going to make the disclaimer, I don't know if you're biblical or not, but definitely seek a higher power to help you, because we can't do it alone in and of ourselves. So even if you're a teen, don't think you're too young to seek a higher power to help you along the way in life.
So we're going to close out our second annual Chastity Taylor Teen Talk Clubhouse, and I want to thank all the panelists for being here and spending time with us and sharing their experience, their knowledge with all of us. Thank you.